Welcome to DC Daily. I'm Whitney Moore, and I am joined by two of my best buds, Sam Humphries and Hector Navarro. What's up, boys?
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm also ready to rock and or roll.
Whoa!
Oh, there's going to be a lot of rocking and a lot of rolling. Today we're going to talk about the first issue of Dark Knight's Death Metal and the latest episode of Harley Quinn. But first, here's what's on the show this week. All right, before we begin our Death Metal book club, I want to give a quick recap. For those who don't remember, this all goes back to Dark Knight's Metal, which you can read right here on DC Universe. Convenient for you. That story introduced us to a horrible place called the Dark Multiverse, and it contains realities based on people's worst fears. It's also where we meet the villain of the story, the Batman Who Laughs. He comes from an Earth where Batman killed the Joker and became infected by his toxin. So, to make a long story short, he's a bad dude.
Yeah.
We don't like him.
Yeah.
No way. Stay away from us.
Do not stand. Anyway, he's back, baby, and he has taken over the DC Universe. So now, let's get into Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. What do you think, boys?
I love how much Scott and Greg are drawing on DC history for this. They talk about the 5 crises of the DC Universe. Everybody's got a little bit different math about exactly how many crises, but in this book there are 5, and they're talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths, 0 Hour, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, and Dark Knight's Death Metal, the original version. This is a sequel to that. So they're talking about those 5, and they're talking about how these events in the DC Universe, they're not just significant, they carry energy through the universe, and they're powering the events of this book, and they're calling this the anti-crisis. So I'm excited to see exactly what that means. What does an anti-crisis look like? But it's amazing that we're still, we're like the Flash running on the cosmic treadmill that we established in the early 80s. We're keeping it going.
This issue is called Everything Matters. And comic book readers, when they see something like that, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't just this continuity. This isn't just the New 52 reboot universe up to now. This is everything going back, like Sam was talking about. This is all of these major comic book events that are part of DC history. Hardcore DC fans can read a book like this and get all the references and be like, oh, that's a Blackest Night ring. That's so cool to bring characters back from the dead. There's Jonah Hex, or, oh, I know everything about Sergeant Rock. That's so cool. And for new readers, the hope is that they can get a story like this and get so intrigued by those 2-page layouts of like, wait, what are all these different crises and crises? What is it? I never read the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. I should go back and read that. I should go back and read Infinite Crisis. That's the ideal. That's the hope. That's the dream. So I hope that DC readers, old and new, can enjoy that.
Yeah, read this and then go back and read the other things and then read it again, and you'll enjoy it even more. I love it. You'll be busy for hours.
Every DC comic book ever. Just read it. Just read them.
It's not that
That's
hard.
it.
There's so many great moments in this. My favorite was Wonder Woman being the Queen of Hell, and Swamp Thing is kind of her right-hand man. He's looking a little malnourished, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He's not the beefy Swamp Thing that we know and love.
No longer the thicky boy that we love.
No longer
No.
a beefy boy, but hopefully he'll get his gains back once the Earth is saved. What are some of your favorite parts?
One of my favorite characters in the entire DC universe is the main man himself, a Lobo. And we only got 1 page of him here, and we really don't know what he's doing or what it has to do with any of the rest of it, but he's on a planet of living bone. That's cool. He found something. That's cool. What's going to happen with it? I don't know.
You know that if it's going to be called Death Metal, Lobo has to be in there somewhere. And so like whether or not he ends up doing something really important to the story, he just has to show up.
He's got to be there.
I loved the mysterious character who showed up in the cloak in the beginning that was supposed to be put in the pits of hell, that was revealed to be Wally West. Wally's a fan favorite character of mine. The fact that it's not quite laid out directly in this issue, but he has the powers of Dr. Manhattan, or had the powers of Dr. Like, he went through such a journey. I cannot wait to see how all of these elements are going to come together, because this issue had a lot of, we're setting it up. Here's Sergeant Rock with a crazy looking gun. saying turd a lot. How is this going to play out? I cannot wait to see it.
I actually have a prediction on that. I think Sergeant Rock is going to open a franchisable restaurant business called Turd Burgers.
Turd Burgers,
yeah. They're going to
wouldn't
serve
eat that.
world famous Sergeant Rock Turd Burgers. I think they have a branding problem. They're going to need to go back to the drawing board on that one. But you know what? I believe that Sergeant Rock knows his way around a blowtorch, and he can cook up a flame char burger.
I hope that Sergeant Rock meets Lobo, and Lobo teaches him new cosmic swear words like Bastitch. And then Sergeant Rock
And
stops saying
frag.
turd, and he starts saying frag. Frag and Bastitches. That's what I want to see. I want to see Sergeant Rock say some Lobo swears.
I like that. I like
Well,
that.
this is maybe getting into spoiler territory. Did Wonder Woman kill the Batman Who Laughs? Because that was a really beautiful, really cool splash page. And that's issue 1. So what do we think?
Yeah. Did that really happen? It's crazy. I mean, we saw it. Is the Batman Who Laughs dead? Is he really dead?
It's issue 1, like Whitney said. So that leads me to believe that was a fake out. This is going to be one of these moments that
fakerooey.
Little the old fakerooey. We're used to reading them in comics. No character who gets killed dies forever. But specifically, it being issue 1, I think this is going to have a payoff. But then here's the thing. I was thinking about it. This is a Scott Snyder character that was birthed to life by Scott and Greg. And I feel like it would be very fitting if it was Scott who made that call of whether or not he lives or dies. So I don't know.
And you know what? If he's dead now, then who's going to be the big bad guy of the story? My prediction is going to be Batman Etrigan, because that's what I want to see. I want to see Batman Etrigan.
I would be down for that direction. I love it. This was such a great issue. I am really excited to see where it goes next. But, my friends, now it is time to catch up with our good friend Harley Quinn. We just watched episode 12 of the season entitled Lover's Quarrel. And there's a lot to process here. This episode was so good, y'all. What'd you think?
I need to mention this right at the top. Whitney and I had a chance to talk to showrunners Patrick and Justin, and they told us for the remainder of this season 2 that episode 12 was going to be this epic, big finale with huge action, and episode 13 was going to be resolving some character choices, and they delivered, because episode 12 was epic with a capital E. We had Darkseid, we had Dr. Psycho enacting his master plan, we had Harley and Ivy having to contend with the Justice League. It was just so epic, and it made me so excited to see what episode 13 is going to be. But I had a blast with this one.
Well, they told you what happens in episode 13, and I know in the interview they said by the end of this season, a choice will have been made, a definitive choice in terms of Kite Man versus Harley, re-Poison Ivy. So I know they told you that. Keep that close to your chest because I don't want to know.
I really love Patrick and Justin for structuring it this way, right? Because one of the reasons why this show is so successful and so fun to watch is because they have nailed Harley's emotional core, right? Like the epic action, this is all good and it's super fun and you love to see it. We love to see it, right? But what is really the crown jewel, the main climax? It's the emotional decisions the characters have to make. So, to them, I love that they've waited for that for the final episode.
Back to that epic action, like, lest we forget, Harley's crew was comprised of supervillains. King Shark and Clayface are a real threat. And to see both of them take on Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman was like a comic book treat. The creators of the show, the writers, the animators are able to nail comic book action as we've come to expect, and yet they're able to do comedy and the heart-wrenching drama. I mean, I love Superman's cheesy one-liner where he says she should have hedged her bets.
Well, I don't know if you guys thought about this, but I think that there was a specifically Lil Whitney treat in this episode because we got a secret option number 3. They don't show it, but when Poison Ivy releases the love pheromones and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman start feeling on each other's muscles, we know where that goes. We finally got it, and I think that that's where they're going with this.
They kiss.
They kiss. They all kiss together.
I think it was a pretty sick burn for this show to say that if Superman were hit with like a love pheromone, that he would be in love with himself and his own pecs. Because Batman and Wonder Woman were kind of digging on each other. And Superman's like, oh, they're real. Give them a squeeze. Give them a squeeze. I'm like, Superman, does Superman have a big ego that I don't know about? Maybe he does.
We don't kink shame in this house,
We
Hector.
do not.
It's okay.
We do not kink shame. We do not killer shark shame. We don't do any of that. Not
Well, let's
here.
talk
not.
about the meat of this episode. That is, Kite Man finally learned the truth about Harley and Ivy, and so did the rest of Gotham City because it was projected in the stars for all to see. And it was very graphic, and I loved it.
Talk about receipts. Like it does not get any more receipty than that. Like taking the memories directly from her head and projecting it for everybody to see, even minors, which was not cool.
And King Shark going, this is going to affect the crew dynamic in a messy and complicated manner. It's so true. I did not expect to be as bummed as I was when Kite Man learned the truth. Because
I
this
know.
episode ends with the three of them standing there like regular people and Kite Man making a little noise like, and then it ends. And you're like, oh, dude.
Dude, the work that they did getting Kite Man to be on all of our sides is insane, because I was so anti-Kite Man for the first couple episodes, and then you just see how much he loves Ivy and how like pure he is, and he's doofy, but he's like got the best intentions, and that being cheated on sucks.
Yeah, I still do not stan Kite Man, but I don't like the way that all went down. Like, even if you stan Harley and Ivy together, like, you have to love Poison Ivy to the point where you don't want her to handle her relationships that way, whether it's with Harley or not, you know? Like, you want her to be able to be, you know, straightforward and forthright and honest in her relationships. Like that's the life you want for her. So even if your heart doesn't break for Kite Man, it breaks for Ivy too.
Breaks for Ivy, because we have, like Whitney said, maybe not been rooting for Kite Man from the beginning, but we've always been rooting for Poison Ivy. And we wanted Poison Ivy to be like, oh, listen, you cheated on Kite Man a couple times and it was amazing, according to Harley, and I believe it. I just want you to pull Kite Man aside and talk to him and tell him what happened. Like, that's what you want to happen so that everybody can be okay and figure out what they're going to figure out. But yeah, that little noise that Kite Man let out, I was like, oh man.
A heartbreak. Well,
heartbreak.
I think that I speak for all of us when I say that no matter what the outcome is, we're probably going to watch it and love it, because the show has been so good.
And I want to speak for everybody when I say Darkseid saying S my V was the funniest thing I never thought I always wanted to see.
Michael Ironside as the voice of Darkseid
So good.
is such a coup. Speaking of voice acting, when Lake Bell had to be Poison Ivy, but Dr. Psycho speaking
so
through her,
funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
incredible. Such
Yeah.
a good job.
Dude,
Great
the
job.
talent in the show is insane, and I really hope they get another season, because no matter what happens, there's going to be consequences, and so I really want just a season to see how that affects the team dynamic, how that affects the relationship with Harley and Ivy, whatever that ends up being. Give us a season 3. Come on.
Give us a season 3. Give us
Give us
season 3.
Okay, well, that is it for today. What a cliffhanger. But don't worry, the season finale of Harley Quinn drops this Friday on DC Universe, and all of your burning questions will be answered. The showrunners promised us, after all. Justin Patrick, I am holding you to this. As for us, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.